4, 3, 2, let's see what we can break.
Hi guys, here we are live from the Gold Coast in Australia with our wonderful hosts Brian and Daryl of Good as Gold Australia. So we're going to do mostly Q&A today, but this was a really interesting article that came up and I thought, let's discuss this a little bit. And so make sure that you put your comments and let's have this conversation. And I appreciate it because it's early. Adam got up, got everything set up. So here we go. The Pentagon has failed its 7th annual audit in a row. It says it's still unable to fully account for its more than $824 billion budget. Well, let's see. What do I think about that? First of all, it is so easy to spend someone else's money because when they're talking about that $824 billion budget, what they're really talking about is spending yours and my taxpayer money. Isn't that great? Because guess what? Of course, you know, this is my signature. It's so easy to create money from nothing and from debt. Isn't that nice? Whereas gold and silver require fiscal responsibility. What a concept. Could you get away with doing that? Of course not. Because if you go in your back bedroom and you print up a whole bunch of money, wow, that's counterfeiting and they will send you to jail. But you see, they can create the laws. They can legalize this kind of crap. That's also counterfeiting. That's counterfeiting sound money, which you know we are all about sound money as well as community. And, you know, both local and here we are at the global community. And I have to say, it's like every time I come to Australia, I mean, you guys probably know that last year when I came, it changed my life because I realized far more important, really, than anything else is developing that community. Because it's one person, what can we do, right? But there's 8.4 billion people on this planet. And so when we all come together in community, we can do anything. We are unstoppable. And it's really fabulous to come and meet people from all around the world because guess what you discover? We all want the same basic things. So with that, and I know that this was kind of a short one, let's just go to the questions and rock and roll hoochie coo.
You got it. I want to thank everyone for being here today. Randy, low blood pressure is in the chat. We got Bro with us. We got Myron MV. We got Amy Harwell, Tracy, Neo the Wise. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate all of you. And we understand it's a little different today, so bear with us.
I know. Adam's like, wow, I can't do 2 cameras. This lighting. Oh, this. You know, we're traveling, but we're here, aren't we? We're here.
Something's gonna change on the stream. We just don't know what yet.
We're supposed to go on a boat today.
Yeah.
But not sure that that's going to happen. It's kind of overcast. But coming from Arizona.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's very
how
nice.
are you enjoying this weather?
It's been absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And to your point, low blood pressure, yes, the toilets do flush a different way.
Yes. And you know, in the last hotel we were at, we tried to put water in the sink so we could see it go, but it didn't work because the plug was too big. But in these sinks, we can do it. And I actually was saying we should do that.
We should test it and actually record it.
That's fun.
You're right. You're right. Okay, so first question is from Kimberly Waddy. It says, how long will it take in years to burn off all the U.S. debt after hyperinflation begins?
Oh, that's a really good question, and it's a hard one to answer. And the reason why, aside from the fact that I'm not really psychic, I know some people think I am, I'm not, is that I don't know how many times they are going to have to reset the currency, that overnight revaluation, where they take all of this junk, right, and they revalue it. So normally, In years, that's just really impossible for me to say. But what I can say is that while it's happening, if you have properly positioned yourself, and that's what our strategy, the sound money strategy, is about. It's about layers. And I'm preparing for 10 years. That's my personal preparation. And that's because I think, this is a global issue. This isn't going to get settled very quickly. And the last time that we had a global inflationary issue or depressionary issue, because really it's the same coin, just flip sides, right, was back in the Depression in 33. And that actually, even though we weren't as interconnected back then as we are today, the whole world essentially went through a level of depression. So I wish I could tell you, I can tell you that I have prepared for 10 years. And if you call us and you talk to one of our strategy specialists, they're going to sit there and they're going to help you define your goals and help you define how much silver do I need for barterability? How much gold do I need for both barterability and growth? With that first overnight reset, I can tell you this, I'm going to take some of my gold and boom, pay off my mortgage, that fixed rate debt. So it doesn't really, nobody's going to know that. But understand that the sound money strategy is built on layers so that wherever we are inside of this trend cycle, you have real sound money and even a little bit of fiat in the very, very beginning, because you need to have a level of cash as well, that you're going to be able to not just survive this, but I don't know, dare I say it, end up on a better position, in a better position on the other side of this. And we'll do it together so we can have some fun along the way too, even as we're going through that.
I want to just stop for 2 seconds because I want to understand better what that process looks like in the hyperinflation. As you're saying, they're revaluing the whatever currency they're working with. Is it possible they just choose a different currency in general to work with? Is that kind of like right?
Okay, that's a fabulous question.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes all the sense in the world since we are seeing a number of other countries doing it.
Yeah.
What other currency are they using?
BRICS, right? Oh,
No.
okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're talking
right? They go to the U.S. dollar, right? Zimbabwe.
Right. Yes.
And even if the BRICS come out with a new currency, it doesn't matter. It's all fiat.
Got it.
And I'm going to be so redundant on this because I want to make sure that people are super clear on the difference between backing and pegging, because the promise, and it's especially true with all of these new asset-backed cryptocurrencies, dare I say it, if you cannot convert it into the underlying asset, it is pegged, it is not backed. And that is so critically important for people to understand, because they can use terminology. It's called, nominal confusion, right? They can confuse you with numbers, but they can confuse you with words too. I mean, don't say the word confiscation. But what do you think the repressive taxation is? What do you think the inflation is? What do you think the tariffs are? What do you think the royalties are? And on and on and on. So arose by any other name. So yeah, but go ahead, peg it to another failing currency. The difference between, and the reason why we've seen countries peg, like in Zimbabwe, allow their citizens to use other currencies, the difference is theirs is losing value faster than the dollar. Whoop-de-doo. They're all losing value. You know what isn't? Sound money, physical gold, physical silver. Why? Because when you're looking at any of those other currencies created and supported by government's ability to create more debt, it's used in one place. So when that demand goes away, you have your hyperinflation. But what about gold and silver? What do we know? It's used in every single sector of the global economy, period. Therefore, it has the broadest base of functionality and the broadest base of demand. It really is that simple. So yes, Adam, to your point, they can go to another currency that's losing its value a little bit slower until it isn't.
Got it.
And that's where we are with the dollar.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So Randy Welchel asked, and this one's a little bit more specific, so I might have to read it to you a couple times.
Okay.
Please comment on the projection of end of income tax combined with income from tariffs, bringing income of those earning, bringing income of those earning $58,000 a year to $88,000 a year under Trump's new plan, and the impact on precious metals. And I'll try to summarize it for you just to kind of see if I'm seeing this correctly.
Just tell me one more time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before you summarize.
Absolutely. Please comment on the projection of end of income tax combined with income from tariffs, bringing income, so raising those people's incomes from $58,000 to $88,000 a year under Trump's new plan, and the impact that would have on precious metals.
Well, first of all, what we're talking about here is highly inflationary, and still, I mean, President Trump still has to go through Congress in order to get things approved, so don't get too excited. However, governments also, what are we looking at? We're looking at them spending more and more and more money, especially as inflation erodes the purchasing power and everything requires it. And just like we were just talking, $824 billion budget, well, with all the wars that are going on, that's going up too. So, okay, let's take this down to your personal level, okay? And you think $88,000 a year, well, $10,500 was the average wage that a family of four could live on in 1971, right? So first of all, they're going to generate income. You think they're going to do it just by tariffs, all the income that they need? No, it's going to be more and more and more deficit spending, which is spending money that is not coming in. They do not have. And what that will do to inflation is it will speed it up. And what that will do to precious metals, it will speed up their rise in terms of that currency anywhere in the world. Because again, I'm going back to supply and demand. There is an infinite amount of this stuff, an infinite amount. As long as they want to, they can print. And it doesn't matter whether or not you or I or other governments or other global central banks or Wall Street or other banks will buy that debt, because they've been buying back our own debt and therefore monetizing this spending. So the reality is that we've all, in my personal opinion, I put my technical neck on the line, go to the FRED, F-R-E-D, and in that search bar, put in there the purchasing power of the consumer dollar. There's 3 little itty bitty cents left officially, and it continues to go down. So what these tariffs will do, and even if, how are the government, you tell me, you think they're going to be able to generate enough income to pay all of this money that they're spending? I mean, this is just the military, and that's going to be going up. You know that's going to be going up because of all the wars on all the fronts that we're fighting. It's hyperinflationary. Look at the M2V, monetary velocity, and you will see that major pattern shift. And anybody that's been watching me for a while knows that I've talked about this way before that shift occurred. So yeah, it's highly hyperinflationary. And that means in terms of fiat, this goes up. But what I need you to understand is it's not a trade. So let's say this goes to 40,000, this goes to 2,000, it goes to a bazillion, it goes to quadrillions. I'm going to tell you, when that happens, you aren't going to want to convert it for this fiat. Now, you might convert it to execute part of the strategy to buy undervalued income producing assets, right? But the truth of the matter is that gold and silver never really changes, and it's got its function. This maintains your ability to buy the same amount of food over time. I've shown you that so many times. We'll show you even more. This certainly does that, enables you to hold on to any kind of fixed rate debt asset like a mortgage, right? Plus, it seriously outperforms. So this is what you'll use to convert into those other income producing assets when they are dirt cheap, just like gold and silver is right now. These are the only undervalued assets because a rising gold price is an indication of a failing currency. Not rocket science, it's real simple.
Got it. That was a really good in-depth answer. I didn't think you were going to go through all that, honestly, but that was a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to understand too, because it's you're basically taking on like 3 different forms of the cash changing into something that you don't recognize it is. I mean, really, that's what it's happening.
It's gonna look the same.
It'll look the same.
It's gonna look the same.
It won't feel the same. That's for sure. It's not gonna feel the same.
It will at first, right? You know, I'm talking about currency life cycles, and I'm trying to show people, and here in as good as gold conference, how they make these transitions and just get people to follow right along.
Yeah.
And what they do is they keep things looking as consistent as possible, and even allowing the new currency, like the cryptocurrencies, right? But back in the day, what did we have in 1913? You could use this, right? You could use a gold certificate, or you could use a Federal Reserve note. All of them were used simultaneously, right? So people got to thinking, well, they're all the same, so it doesn't really matter. So what did they do? They took this and the gold certificate, which gave the holder of that certificate the ability to go into the bank with that and take out this, fiscal responsibility. And they did the same thing in the 60s when President Johnson took the silver out of the money system. They let all those silver coins stay inside of the system while they created all of this just base metal coins, and they allowed them the same valuation. But today, if you have a silver dime pre-64, so constitutional money, what are you going to pay for it? Dime is not quite, but roughly, just to make life easy, 1/10 of an ounce. I don't even know. I'll be honest. I don't know where spot is at the moment, but let's just say it's at $30. Okay. So that's now that 10 cents, that dime is worth somewhere around $3. Huh. Isn't that interesting? With the warning that if anybody tried to hoard that silver, that our government, it's incredible to me, they do this right out in open so that people, again, I don't know why we didn't rise up. I was too young to realize what was happening, but I think the general population also doesn't realize what was happening. But President Johnson, out in the open, said that if anybody tries to hoard silver, they will break the market. What? I mean, seriously, how did we allow that? Well, we need to stop allowing this abuse. Absolutely. So, I don't know, kind of went on a bit of a tangent.
I mean, you hit the notes that I wanted you to hit.
Okay. A little trigger.
Yeah, a little trigger.
Little trigger.
Jeez Van Drunen, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Asks, what is your current view regarding Bitcoin, given recent development that Trump and other governments are announcing plans for a strategic Bitcoin reserve and companies are buying Bitcoin?
Shocking. So what my feeling is on that is that they're making this transition. And just what I was just exactly talking about. So they would allow cash, right? They're not really going to remove the cash, because if they do, you're going to know it. But fewer and fewer people, although that's shifting, Remember, we've got to pay attention to that. They'll allow cash, credit cards, digital, Bitcoin. They'll allow everything to run the same so that you start to think that it's the same. But, I mean, the level of utility between cryptocurrencies and physical gold and silver is so different, right? Where are you going to use it? So I always felt that that was a Trojan horse. I'm sorry. I have not changed my opinion. I've tried, and lots of people have tried. I've had all these conversations. If somebody can really come in and show me the full utility of the cryptocurrencies, but yeah, this is just about enabling more of this and the transition into CBDCs. That's my feeling on it. I know it's not going away, but I want to see after the hyperinflationary crash and burn, who's going to survive? Who is it? There is a reason why they have made all those cryptocurrencies gold, Bitcoin, gold, silver, or platinum. There's a reason why the image of it looks like that. And that's about this for you and me. They want us to think just the same. No, it's not.
And Bro asks, hey, Lynette, when you go live, please talk about what's going to happen in Australia with inflation. Will we have inflation just like the U.S., or will we have deflation from U.S. tariffs due to China dumping China dumping cheap stuff due to the Aussie Free Trade Agreement, and we might see low rates here. And some deflation soon?
Well, let's see. Deflation and inflation are the same coin. They're just opposite sides. So there's only one way to fight inflation, and that's with deflation, and only one way to fight deflation, and that's with inflation. So do I think that there will be different patterns that occur, like the tariffs in China dumping products because they've got oversupply, excuse me, that pushes the prices down? Yes, of course I do. I also think that it'll enable, so yes, I think this is a global issue. This is a global hyperinflationary issue. And when you see, the more deflation you see, the more they're pushing rates down to create that inflation. They're not pushing those rates down to create deflation, right? They're pushing the rates down to inspire more borrowing and spending. That's inflation. So there's always first deflation, and then there's the inflation. And the only difference between deflation and inflation and hyperdeflation and hyperinflation is the speed. And that's what central bank's job is, to control the speed and the rate of those events.
Awesome. And Bro says, it's the same person that asks the question, says that they love you, Lynette. You're the best.
I love you too. And oh my God, I'm so happy to be. Every time I come to Australia, I feel like there is something new. And we were talking earlier today, and Adam says, oh, I wish I brought this. I didn't think to bring this and that and the other thing. Yeah. But that's not like the first thing, right? We've since we've been here, we've gone, oh, well, we should have, you just wait. It's going to be so fun what we have in mind. We should have done this. Yeah. Okay, when we get back, we're going to do this. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but I will show it to you when we have completed it. So it's always a learning thing, but I love it here, and I'm excited and happy to be here. And I think you are too. This is your first time. Is this your first time out of the country?
On an international trip, correct. This is the first time out of the country for me. So
and what do you think?
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been really, really something special. So I'm very, very blessed. Very blessed to be a part
and
of this
I hope that you're coming to the show, because, you know, anybody that's watching in the lives, please let me know.
Absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely. Yeah, we would love to hear and see from you guys in person. Let's see here. So we got, Myron. Okay. So Myron MV kind of asked some silly questions. One, did we see any of those plate-sized bugs yet?
No, but we did get to, well, you didn't go.
I didn't go.
But we did get to pet a kangaroo.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
I mean, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
We were at the koala sanctuary in Brisbane, And it was so fun. Now I clearly know the difference between a wallaby and a kangaroo. But to get to feed them and pet them, and it was phenomenal. Plus, I saw a duck-billed platypus. I've never seen that in my life.
Yeah.
So lots of new adventures. I do love it here. I do love it here. I wish I had my grandbabies with me. They'd love it too.
My dad's actually in the chat, so sorry, Pops, I didn't go and get the picture of the duck-billed platypus for you. I'm sorry, man.
But he will.
Still love
He
me?
will.
Yeah,
I
will.
took pictures.
Yes.
I took videos.
I'll get you something. Don't worry, I promise. And then, of course, Myron asks again, what time is it here? It's about 7:30 in the morning here on Wednesday. So it's Tuesday for you guys. It's Wednesday for us.
Yep.
Question for Lynette from Tracy. It looks like she's asking, what are some good... Oh, excuse me. This is from Big Auto. What are some good starter coins to look into when getting into the collectible coin market?
I'm going to say that no matter what you do, it must first be based upon what it is that you are trying to accomplish. In our strategy, there are 6 different levels, and everything is color-coded to make it really easy for you to know what the function of this is, that is. We give you a book, so you can keep track of everything. But I would honestly say that that's where you have to start. You define your goals, and maybe you're starting in some of the lower quality, maybe a Mint State 62, high population, if you need to pay off a mortgage or fixed rate debt. But honestly, what you need to do first is call us, set up your strategy, and then it gives you a very clear roadmap on what it is that you have to do. But it's always based upon the function of what it is you're trying to accomplish. So please start there first. No matter what you do, no matter who you do it with, please start with your goals first. I'd say that's the single most important thing.
Let's see here. Tracy asks, what would be a decent amount of SLV to get us through this time?
Well, SLV, if you're referring to the ETF, 0. Okay.
Right.
But if you're referring to silver, what we have in the strategy, and this is why I can't get more specific than this, it depends on what your goals are, right? Are you going to put gas in the tank? Well, then and again, how long are you going to do this for? Remember, I said earlier, my personal strategy is set up in the barterability range for 10 years, right? So there's a certain level and different sizes depending upon what you need to accomplish. But let's say you want to pay property taxes. That's still barterable. That's still fractional, but that's gold. So we have it set up so that when you define what you're trying to accomplish and what you're currently paying to put gas in your car, to do this, to do that, whatever it is that you're doing, then we can define, okay, well, this is how much barterable silver you need. This is how much barterable gold you need. This is how much gold you need to pay off your fixed rate debt. This is how much gold you need to convert into income producing assets, or dare I say it, even stocks when they're undervalued, even cryptocurrencies, when we see who's going to survive. Do I think Bitcoin's going to survive? I do. But I also know that inside of a currency reset, it's going to get a heck of a lot cheaper in nominal terms, and in reality terms over time. Once we know who can survive what we're about to go through on a global basis, we are going to see what's called that cup formation. You hear me talk about it all the time. That is an accumulation pattern that tells you that the smart money has recognized that undervalued circumstance, and they are beginning to quietly build this. Is Bitcoin quiet right now? Heck no, it's not. Everything has become a trading economy. And in fact, we're going to be going to a basin here outside of Adelaide toward the end of our trip. And I'm going to show you the spot where they created trading water. and the impact, we're going to talk about the impact of that then. And it's going to be very cool for me to do it on site. So lots of new stuff this trip.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be super
I'm
exciting. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Sign of Nature asks, would you recommend holding some extra metals? And you kind of touched on this, raising one's minimum stock.
I'm not really sure what
I'm thinking what they're saying is like, you have a minimum stock of metals that you're kind of holding. Do you recommend
based upon the thing that you're, okay.
Right.
First of all, I don't think you can ever have too much gold and silver for the simple fact that because of that broad base of functionality and demand, that there's always demand, so you can always convert it into any other currency. I mean, you see this bracelet right here, this is my travel bracelet. What do I have? I have a few gold coins on here. These links and all of that are gold, right? So, and here I am in Australia. If I needed to convert these into Australian dollars, that'd be so easy for me to do anywhere here. So that's part of what you have to consider. You can't have too much gold and silver. And in fact, for me personally, and I'm not telling anybody else to do it, because everybody's got to do what they believe in and what their comfort level is in. But personally, I do not own any stocks. I don't own any fiat money products. I don't. I have food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. That's where I put my efforts and a lot of my personal fiat money, because I'd rather have all that security in all those other areas. But, I like to leave a legacy. Yeah, what am I going to do? Go into something when... Guys, I've been doing this on some level my entire life. We were talking about this earlier. I've been studying currency life cycles since 1987. I am so clear on where we are in this trend cycle, and I am not a gambler. I am not a trader. I don't really care about that because I don't really want to have to pay too much attention to it. I'm too busy. I like to develop a strategy and focus on where we are in the trend. Therefore, what is the next most likely outcome, and get into position. Because I'm going to tell you, this is the most incredible opportunity that we have ever had in our lifetime. They will be talking about this 10 years, not 10 years, 100 years, 200 years. This is a huge shift, just like the Industrial Revolution was. Just like, dare I say it, the Roaring 20s and the stock market crash and the depression. This is history in the making. And if you are in the right place at the right time with the right asset, you can have that wealth shift your way. But if you're sitting in fiat, do you really think that you're going to be able to tell and get into position the second before everything implodes? It's not possible. I consider myself a technician. I know how to read the charts. You guys see me all the time. I certainly know how to read this. And I don't own any of that stuff because I don't care what it does in terms of fiat. And I won't know 1 second before all choice is lost. Get into position now. You can't have too much. This is not forever and ever, although you should always have a foundation of sound money, no matter what the system is. You should always have a foundation. But in time, and if you watch this channel, I'll show you when I'm doing it for myself, and I'll show you what I'm doing for myself. There will be time to pay off that fixed rate debt. There will be time to go into those other assets when we know who's going to survive this. Because debt and accounting tricks, boy, they can mask a lot of things and keep it blind from you and me. We can't see it. Okay, this is simple. I don't have to be an engineer to understand it. I don't have to be super brilliant to know how this stuff works, because these patterns, I mean, they're recognizable. Just like I'm 70 years old and I have a 9-year-old granddaughter, you're not thinking she's going to be 71 next year, and you're not thinking I'm going to be 10, right? Why? Because you have learned how your eye is trained. You have learned how to recognize the different stages of a human life cycle, but everything has that life cycle. So all you have to do is learn how to recognize those key features, the wrinkles, the gray hair of the currency, and we are totally, please believe this, or do more research. I always give you links. Look at the Federal Reserve. What do they have on that left axis? Big fat zero. That's the value. So anything that you can only convert into that, that's the value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very, very powerful. Freedom for Arthur's in the chat. Hey, Arthur.
Hey, Arthur. You holding down the fort?
Yeah, you doing okay over there, bud? And Gerald Draper says, say hi to my dad too. Okay, Jerry Sr.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Dad. I say hi to everybody's fathers, everybody's mothers.
That's right.
Because this is, I wish I still had mine. So I kind of live vicariously through people sometimes, and that's an okay thing.
Freedom for All asks, can Donald Trump slow inflation and slow gold's climb?
They can manipulate spot gold. You need to really, 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 if you want to know what's happening with gold, then you go to the collectible market, where it is a physical only supply and demand market, because the markets, the spot markets, cheap and easy to manipulate, but no, they're not going to slow inflation. No, that's going to speed up. You watch. I'll put my technical neck on the line, and I think I even put it in the calendar. I said 1 year from today.
Yeah.
Was that like last week? Or?
Yeah, that was in the video in the live last week. Correct.
Right. So I already put it in the calendar to check, and
absolutely.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see what happens, right?
But I'm betting it's going to be higher in a year than it is today.
Right.
Or last week, or whatever.
Right. And you would have said that with any of the...
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter who got in there. No. We're at the end.
Right.
We're at the end of the cycle.
Right.
It's it.
Right.
It's it.
Right. Neo the Wise, when will house prices become affordable? Now, you actually had a really, really good conversation that's going to be coming out this week, I believe, with Monica on the housing prices.
Yeah.
And the title of that video is actually, when will housing prices be affordable again? So there is going to be an in-depth breakdown of that, but go ahead and give your answer for that, which is basically, when are the housing prices going to come down,
I don't know. Do you remember what we talked about, Monica?
Hi everyone, Monica here. We did talk that we mentioned that it would
Put you right on the spot, didn't I?
It would take a lot for housing prices, unfortunately, to come down. We talked about interest rates would have to come down significantly, which we don't really see that happening in the next couple years, or the prices. I mean, something drastic would essentially have to happen for housing prices to come down.
Yes. Right. They will come down, but here's the thing. We get tied up with the number signs, right?
Yep.
It's really about this. Mm-hmm. And historically, look, you got to have a place to make your last stand. So if you need to buy a house, then that's what you need to do to make your last stand. But as a speculative investment, this is not the right time to do it at all, because to Monica's point, interest rates would have to drop dramatically. They will, okay? I'm telling you right now, expect to see interest rates drop back down to zero interest rate environment, because the interest rates at these levels are killing the banks and the financial system because of all of the garbage debt that they own, including those old mortgages that some people took out at 2 and 3 and 4%, right? You can't get a mortgage like that. And remember, I don't have a pen here, but when interest rates go up, the market value of any debt goes down and vice versa. So we will see a major drop in interest rates, but that's not going to lower the price of real estate, because what's happening is the loss of value of this stuff, right? So the more value that this loses, the inflation, right, the more it's going to cost to do anything. Food, real estate, cars, anything, especially with the tariffs. So, we can expect, well, let's see. I can't tell you when it's going to get more affordable, other than you position into gold, especially the collectibles for that. And when it's time to think about, remember, what are we going to do? When we get that first overnight reset. And I do think I am absolutely convinced that we have already begun that hyperinflationary event. It's just in the early stages of it. I think it'll be a whole lot more visible in another year, 2 years, etc. And once that train is fully on the track, and even now, there's no stopping it. So quite honestly, the only undervalued asset that there is gold and silver, the sound money. That's the undervalued asset. And if you position into this, guess what history tells us? You can buy an entire city block, buildings and all, for 25 ounces of gold. I've done pieces on that. Take a look at that. So I don't think in this short term that's not going to happen, because the prices are going to keep going up, especially when they drop the rates, because then more people will rush in to buy houses, and that'll send the nominal price of the house up again, just like it did during COVID. Right? What'd they do? Boom. 0 interest rates. Prices of houses. Look at what's happened. So yeah, you're going to have to be patient if you're sitting back and waiting for the house prices to drop. But accumulate gold while you're doing that, so that you can convert that into the house price, into the real estate and other income producing assets, right? 25 ounces of gold, entire city block, buildings and all. You will have a much clearer vision in a little while as to what's happening in commercial real estate, as well as home prices, as well as the entire global real estate market. That's what I'm looking at as well, honestly.
Right. And affordable, the word affordable is kind of funny too, to me anyways, because I'm thinking back to like 2019 prices. And Monica, do you remember the reduction it would take to get back to 2019? What was that?
It was double digit reduction.
Right.
I want to say it was like 20% or something like that.
I mean, it might have been significantly more, right? To get
in 2008.
So
no.
So in 2024, right now, what would it take, like a reduction in prices, to go back to 2019 housing prices pre-COVID?
I don't know. You can pull it up. We can pull that up.
Please don't ask me to pull anything
up.
up.
But let me just say, how old are you guys?
I'm 32. Yeah.
Okay.
I turned 33. Excuse me.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I paid for my very first house? It was about 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I paid $59,000 for it. And that would have been in 1978.
Wow.
Yeah, 1978. And the interest on my mortgage was 12%, I think.
Wow.
14%, something like that.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, the higher the interest, but you can see that same house now. And honestly, I mean, it was a decent house, but it wasn't like fabulous. It was a starter home. It was in Sarasota, Florida, Beeline, I think it's Beeline or Bee Ridge Road or something like that. And I don't know, I'd have to guess, but I would probably guess maybe $350, $400, $450. I don't know. I'd have to look. But that's safe. Now, is it really a different house?
Right. Is it 5 times more house? No.
No,
Right.
It's not. But it does take 5 times more of this stuff to buy that same house.
Exactly.
It's not because the house is worth that much more money. It's because the dollar, or wherever you are in the world, your fiat currency is worth that much less.
Right. Let's see here. Next question is from David Sergnol. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. How do you feel about constitutional silver versus generics?
Love constitutional silver. So, and own quite a bit of it myself, those junk bags. And part of what I like about it is its recognition, but it's because it's 90% silver, but you have dimes, which is roughly, it's not quite this because it's 90% silver, but it's easy to think of. A dime is 1/10 of an ounce, roughly. Quarter is 1/4 of an ounce. A $half is half an ounce. A silver dollar is an ounce. They're actually lower than that because they're 90% silver. It just makes it kind of easy. So I like all those different sizes. And if I had to choose a size and I could only do one size, quite honestly, it'd probably be dimes. And I'm not saying just do dimes because I have the whole, all of the different sizes, but it is easier to put 2 dimes together than to break a quarter in half. However, having said that, it is so important that everybody understands that gold and silver in any form is monetary at its base. So if you have Aunt Bessie's flatware, that sterling silver, it's 92.5% pure. If you got to clip the tines off to pay for something, is that such a bad thing? I don't think so. So I like it all. I have it all. I have rounds. I have Aussie silver. We're coming out with our own, but don't tell anybody yet. So yeah, but I do definitely love constitutional silver, and I personally own quite a bit of it.
Let's see here. So, and I want to be respectful of you guys. I just want to let you know we're only going to take a couple more questions because we do have other appointments to get to today. So I want to be respectful of that and let you guys know that. Let's see here. So I have Diane, and I am answering them in the order they were asked. Okay, I'm not just selecting everyone just to make sure everyone doesn't feel any favoritism. Let's see, Diane Figueroa. How does monetary metals pay you interest in metal on your metals when they hold?
That means that they're leasing them out.
Right.
We're doing something like that because they're not going to pay you any interest unless they're making more than what they're paying you.
Right.
So I don't know exactly because I don't work there and I don't see their innards. But I would bet that they're leasing them out and they're loaning them, and that's how they're generating additional income to pay you.
They have to generate income to pay you. Right.
You don't hold it. You don't own it. I would not be leasing out any of my metals. And our number is 833-GLD-ZANG. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. If they're paying you interest, that means that they're doing something with them that generates more.
They have
and it's
to.
a risk.
They have
It's a
to.
risk.
Yeah.
Because what happens if there's a problem there and all of a sudden, your metals are gone. Too bad, so sad, bang on the doors, cry, cry, cry. Nobody's going to come to your rescue.
Right.
Sorry.
Right, and we don't know what they're doing over there, but we
Right.
can just
We
say,
don't-
right?
we
We
don't-
can just say, you got to make money to give money away, right? Somehow.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the easiest way I would put it anyway. Sorry. Okay, so Jules F asks, how awake are the Aussies compared to the Canadians or USA citizens, in your opinion, meaning the financial crisis that's ahead?
Well, so far, I can't really answer that question yet, to be perfectly honest with you. But what I can tell you, and Adam and Monica were there, is we've been tipping, and I don't know, have we sent any of those? Have we put any of those when we give somebody silver?
No, we haven't put those up just yet.
We haven't put those up yet?
They're kind of loaded, ready to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've been running a little bit of an experiment here to see if people recognize, well, particularly silver as a monetary metal. And the response has been amazing. Actually, the response has been surprising because everybody we've offered, okay, you can have this cash or you can have this 1 ounce silver coin. What would you prefer? And they've preferred the silver so far. And then when they've gotten it, they've been like thrilled.
Whoa, blown away. They're holding real silver and they don't even know. I mean, some of, they didn't know what it's worth, but it doesn't really matter what it's worth because they're holding this physical item that they've really never held before. They're touching it, feels real, it feels awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been
really cool to see.
That's been very cool.
It's been really cool,
that.
and I got a really nice message from one of the people that we gave it to. So we'll definitely make a reel and some short form content. You guys will see that stuff soon.
You will, and it's been great. But I don't think that the general population at all really has any real clue as to where we are in this trend cycle, which is why we're here and why we do all the work that we do and go all the different places that we go as well and have these conversations live, which is about spreading awareness. But I do think that we came up with a great way to really spread that awareness, which I can't say what that is yet.
Can't go into yet. I'm going to cut you off.
Oh yeah, no. La 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 la. Not yet, but we'll let you know. I think we've got a real clear path on that right now. So,
all right, so
because we need to make this happen as quickly as possible.
I'm going to do 3 more questions here. I got Bruno asking, in the last 2 years, I have bought a lot of gold and XRP coins.
Okay.
I believe in gold as traditional investment, but what do you think about the cryptocurrency XRP as an investment for the future?
Look, I think everybody must do what they believe in their hearts to do. I think that you have a very well diversified portfolio, so it doesn't really matter what happens with XRP, does it? There will be certain cryptocurrencies that seem to have been selected to survive this. And if you go to the Bank of International Settlements Money Flower, you can see that there is an area in there for private cryptocurrencies. It is, however, that is not in their purview, I should say, not in their purview. There is, however, the commodity money, so gold and silver, that is a much larger area that is not in their purview. So, I did the XRP show in May. It was phenomenal. And if the schedule allows and I'm invited back again, I would probably do it again, though I would go to any cryptocurrency event that would have me or any event on anything, because if I can get in front of people and talk about sound money, I'm gonna, right? So I think that is likely to be one of the ones that is targeted to survive. However, it is denominated, same as Bitcoin, in dollars. Got it. So when they do that reset, that will reset too. And ultimately so will gold. It's just that what typically happens, and we don't know, this is going to be a test for the cryptocurrencies.
Right.
They were only around since 2009, right? So we don't really know how they're truly going to respond. They're totally a risk-on asset, right? They're far more correlated with risk assets than they are with sound money. Right. So we're going to see who survives, but understand that when they do those overnight resets, typically, on average, you got about 9 months-ish where real gold, contracts can do anything, will stay up at that higher level, right? Then they too will reset. But then what we've found historically is that, again, that spot contract will start to go up much faster than everything else. I'm not going to test the 9 months. I'm going to be honest with you. As soon as they do that overnight reset, I will convert this into whatever the currency happens to be at that time and pay off my mortgage. Boom, done. And the only reason why I have a mortgage on my house is because I want to actually execute that strategy.
I'm not going to count this question because it's a website question about us. It's saying, Lynette, any ETA on the marketplace on your website will be completed, or is there somewhere else I can see what metals you have available?
That's an emerald question.
Right.
Right?
Right, I mean,
but if you call us,
give us a call. Right.
Give us a call,
and we'll talk about it with
right,
you. You know?
and that's going to be, you're going to get much better information from them than you can from me.
Right.
And you can ask for Emerald, or if you talk to any strategy specialist,
Right.
they can connect all of the dots for you.
Right.
But we're working on it,
Right.
for sure.
We are
We're
working
working
on it.
hard
Absolutely.
on it. The first one we set up is not very good, so we have to redo.
Yep.
But we're working hard on your behalf to get that set up.
It's coming, but don't let that stop you. Give us a call, and we can help you out. Okay,
Yep.
we can still help you out. Vivian says, no questions, just sending love. Well, love to you, Vivian. Right back at you.
Absolutely.
Lulu says, what is your opinion of the BIS project Genesis to tokenize nature? Have you heard of that? I actually read a little bit about that.
Yeah. Again, what have they been doing?
Terrifying.
They've been turning everything since the early 80s into a financial product. The tokenization enables a global one world government or one world monetary system. That's the direction that they're going in. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all, because who has the deep pockets here? Right. I mean, how much do you trust Bill Gates? How much do you trust, Amazon? These guys, the technology guys, they have more money than countries. They generate more income than countries.
Right.
So if all of the assets and the hard assets, the carbon credits, the offsets, the blah, 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 this is not for you or me. This is for the big players, and it turns them into a trading asset so that no matter where you are in the world, you can own tokenized nature, water, air, and everything you're going to have to lease. Oh, you want to breathe? Right? There's that doctor, was it a Dr. Seuss? It's something where, and somebody's going to know this, I'm sure, where there were no more trees outside of the bubble. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
and then
the Lorax.
The Lorax, right?
Yep.
So think of it like that. People were buying air.
Right.
Right? And they didn't realize that you had air available for free.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So, I think that's kind of where they would like us to head, but I'm saying no. I'm saying no. This is what the Sound Money movement is all about, and the Sound Money League. And, it's interesting. So if anybody knows of a global organization that's pushing for global sound money, please let me know, because I keep looking and looking and looking, and I haven't found one yet. We might just have to create our own. But we have to have sound money in the currency, and it has to be convertible into that. And it doesn't mean that it has to be backed 100% by it. I'm okay, whatever that percentage is. If I don't like what they're doing, I want to have the ability to go in and convert that, whatever that currency is, to however much is backed by gold, because that's the only way that we, the people, can take back the power. Like Ron Paul says, we've got it. We've got to here, make money free again. Right? Inflation tax. They've positioned physical metals with tax, right? Make money free again. Let's join the sound money movement. And if we could get, I don't know, but if we could get 3% of the global population to convert their garbage fiat into sound money, I think we'd have a shot at having a seat at the table. And what that means is a say at the composition of that new currency. And if I'm the one that's sitting at the table, I'm going to be going for some percentage of gold, and it must be convertible. Because as we've just seen in Zimbabwe, if it's not convertible, it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Last question for today, and then I'm going to kind of scroll through and answer the little questions that I can one-off really quickly about like where we are, what we're doing, okay?
Okay.
It looks like Cool Brother G asking, we just got done talking about this yesterday, which kind of why I wanted to bring it up. Buffett doesn't like gold because it doesn't do anything. He sold his stock and has his cash in treasury bills. Is it safe to have your money in treasury bills? If not, why not?
Well, this was an interesting conversation, and Monica went down this rabbit hole. And what did you learn? You learned that Warren Buffett is lying to you. Go ahead, I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is definitely a very interesting topic, considering that Warren Buffett's father was actually a huge advocate of gold and really believed in the ability of the people to be able to trade in their currency for gold. And he believed that that was directly tied to freedom. So if you read up on Warren Buffett's father, you will find some very interesting thoughts that he shares with the world. But as far as your question goes around treasury bills, is it safe? The reason why they're considered safe is because the government guarantees that they will pay you back the principal and the interest. So that's one thing to consider, right? Whether or not you trust that.
Because this is all they have to do to pay you back.
Exactly.
Right? That's all they have to do.
But the other thing to consider when investing in treasury bills is inflation. So unfortunately, they are still exposed to inflation, whether it's the interest or the principal that's being paid back to you is still exposed by inflation because you're getting paid back in fiat money, correct?
Voila.
So that's the risk that you take there with the treasury bills. And I'll hand it over to Lynette to add anything else.
Well, Monica, you're absolutely right. You see why I'm so thrilled that she is a contributor here. She's wonderful. She's got the chops for it. And you said it perfectly. I mean, when I first became a stockbroker, I cut my teeth on treasury bills, notes, and bonds.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because I had a lot to learn and I didn't want to burn anybody. And so I thought, all right, well, we'll just tax you or they'll print money to repay you. Big deal. So therefore, while I was learning, and it was a great place to learn, but you're absolutely right. They'll pay you back. It's just what that money will buy you, that fiat money will buy you when you get it back is less and less and less. And by the way, that is part of the sound money strategy is to repay that fixed rate debt in the US, but anywhere in the world with the government debt-based money that has virtually no value. That can also go back to that real estate question that we talked about before, because even though the prices are high, I mean, obviously you have to be able to afford to carry it. However, obviously, when the prices are high and you take out in the US, we do have a huge advantage in that we can get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. The rest of the world, not so lucky with that. They might have 3, 5 years, in some cases 10 years, etc. But basically, why do I have a mortgage? Because I want to pay the balance of it with fiat money that has zero value. So that also does, by the way, then absolutely lower the price.
Right.
As long as you have the gold to offset that. You have to have the gold to pay the mortgage off.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting stuff.
It's so fascinating.
It really is interesting stuff.
I mean, that's why I've been able to do this forever, because it's just, when you dig into it, it's just so interesting. It's so interesting. And we need to understand our history. And I think it's incredibly interesting, and I understand why they don't teach any of this in school. And Monica, you've had the traditional training, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I have my background's in finance and spent several years in corporate finance. And this is not something that we talk about in our classes.
No, you have your master's?
Yes, an
right?
MBA in finance.
All right. How come? Because it's Keynesian economics. They don't want you to understand this, because once you really do understand how money is truly created and supported in this world, you go, why am I working for somebody else's debt that guaranteed to lose value over time? I mean, why would you do that if you understood that that's really what you're doing?
Got it. So now I'm just going to do a couple just quick answers, just because I know the answers to these questions. What part of Australia are we in, Lynette?
We're in the Gold Coast.
We're in the Gold Coast.
Yay! And
Yay,
we
Gold
were in
Coast.
Brisbane, and we're going on to Sydney,
Yep.
Tasmania,
Yep.
and then Adelaide
Absolutely.
for the event.
For the event, as good as gold.
Yep.
Let's see here. Amy asks, are you going to buy anything from the Perth Mint?
I don't think we're going to go to the Perth Mint.
Okay.
This time I did meet the president of Perth Mint when I was here last year.
Yep.
So probably not.
Okay, and then...
But he's a very nice guy.
And I think that's really the smaller questions that I can answer. And I hate to do that to you guys. I want to end the stream now. I want to make sure that we are respectful of our time. We have a lot to do today, I know.
We do.
And one more last
yeah,
thing,
we do.
which is from
Okay.
Diametra. She's always here. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
I really
I
appreciate
really
the support.
appreciate this.
Everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
She
so
asked
much.
a question that we might not have the answer to, but Lynette, where can they go here in Australia to be advised on a strategy? That's kind of the question. I want to make sure we answer them the best of our abilities.
Okay. Well, we work really closely with As Good as Gold Australia.
Right.
So, Brian and Daryl. So that would be a good place to start because we are easily in communication with them all the time.
Right. I think so.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Well, guys, I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying our trip. There's going to be a lot more videos that come out. You're going to see Monica a lot more. I mean, it's great that she was able to join us for this time because we're really bonding, aren't we? We're having a great time working
Absolutely.
our butts off,
Oh, yeah.
bonding, and thank you all. It really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for helping us build this live. Communicate as much as you can. Give us thumbs up. Give us likes. Share, share, share. We need to get this message out to as many people as we can, as quickly as we can, because I know 100%, and I'm getting chills. I mean, wonderful things always happen when I come to Australia. I'm like so grateful. You guys have no idea how grateful I am for all of you out there.
Absolutely.
And together, I know we can make a positive difference for the world. Actually, I always said a lot of people, but we're doing this for the world. Join us in this Sound Money movement. And until next we meet, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for being here.